Uprated anti-roll bars, also called sway bars, are a popular upgrade on BMW M cars. They reduce body roll and stiffen the car through the corners, reducing lap times as well, but only if they're set up correctly. In this video, we're going to be fitting some adjustable Eibach anti-roll bars to the front and rear of our BMW G87 M2. We're also going to be going through exactly how they work and how by adjusting them, you can improve your lap times out on track. An anti-roll bar, as the name suggests, controls the body roll of the vehicle. If they were not installed to the car whatsoever, then the car would roll excessively through the corners, overloading the outside axle through the corners. The only way to counteract this without an anti-roll bar would be to go really stiff on the coil springs on the car. But this would lead to driving issues in a straight line, under throttle and braking conditions as well. What an anti-roll bar effectively does is it controls the amount of bump and droop that is allowed across the axle when going through the corner. This contributes to reducing body roll, which helps keep a more even loading across both tyres, therefore increasing grip through the corner. These anti-roll bars are adjustable that we're going to be fitting today, and this means that they have multiple mounting holes on the cantilever, which means we can set how stiff or soft we want this anti-roll bar. Another way that is on the aftermarket is a blade adjustable anti-roll bar, and this again is seen in motorsport environments, which we saw recently in a recent video on a 991 Cup car, and this is where the end of this anti-roll bar can actually be twisted around like a blade, and that makes it stiffer or softer depending on its orientation. But this is a much more common feature in the aftermarket, just due to it replacing the OEM bar so much more easily. With the standard drop links or adjustable drop links, you can bolt them straight into the bar as you would on the OEM version. When we're adjusting anti-roll bars, what we're focusing on is the behaviour of the car, especially in the mid-corner section of the corner. This is where the car stops moving on the dampers and it's now relying solely on the springs fitted to the car, coil and anti-roll bar, to determine how that car behaves and gets through that corner. So that's something we're going to be going into a lot more detail on in this video, but first, let's get them fitted to the car and see exactly how they fit onto the vehicle. The Eibach anti-roll bars are now installed to the front and rear of the vehicle, but at the same time we've installed some adjustable drop links or sway bar end links. Now these aren't necessary when installing anti-roll bars, but they do offer some really nice additional upgrades. So they're a really nice upgrade to fit at the same time because you're in there anyway, you're already disconnecting the OEM ones, so you might as well upgrade them whilst you're in there at the same time. First of all, they're a lot stronger than the OEM drop links, which means that they're going to be able to handle the increased forces that these new roll bars are going to be applying through the suspension system. So they're going to last a bit longer out on track, and they're going to apply the force directly into the shock with no movement and no flexing around, which is really nice. You get the immediate effect of the anti-roll bar. The second part is that they're also adjustable in length, which means that when we lower the car, we can effectively shorten or lengthen them to position the anti-roll bar back to its OEM position, meaning that there's not any issues with clearance on suspension arms or anything like that. And it also means if you have bonded rubber bushes on your anti-roll bar, it takes the bind back out the bushes, which is a really neat feature. That means the spring weight of the roll bar is completely uninterrupted by any bind that would have occurred in the actual mounting hardware itself. Finally, it allows us to corner weight the car and take the actual tension out of the roll bar. When you corner weight in a car, you often end up with ride heights very slightly different left to right all around the car. This can be within sort of 5mm of each other, 2, 3, 4, something like that. But when you've got that imbalance left to right, it actually puts load into the anti-roll bar because the ride heights are a little bit different. That means they're in a twisted position in a straight line, which we don't want. Because if we have this, it means that as we approach a corner, say a right-hander, it could be loaded in that direction and take immediate effect. But then going through a left-hander, it could then unload the bar back to neutral and then reload the bar as we take the left-hander, which is going to really lead to a really soft sensation and then stiff again, which you don't want. It's going to lead to an imbalance in left and right-hand corners. So it takes the tension out of the roll bar by adjusting them in length to set the imbalance different left to right. So if you have a 5mm ride height difference, one drop link could be 5mm longer than the other. That takes the tension out of the anti-roll bar and it operates exactly as it should whilst you've corner weighted the car as well. So it's a real win-win upgrade really in terms of getting the maximum potential out of the anti-roll bar itself. So here we have a really nice representation of a car taking a right-hand turn and a little diagram of an anti-roll bar cantilever. So this is the very end of the anti-roll bar and this is where it turns into the bar itself. So if we use the hole at the very end of the anti-roll bar, that's in full soft. If we move the drop link or sway bar end link into the hole nearest to the roll bar itself, it becomes full stiff. And in the middle is obviously a middle setting. So this is how you technically adjust your anti-roll bar, is by moving your sway bar end link between these three positions, going from full soft at the end to full stiff right at the bar itself. And this is effectively because the longer you make this cantilever, the more it's technically allowed to flex, therefore the softer it becomes. And that's literally how it works. So if we take a look at a car taking a right-hand turn, such as this here, so it's taking a right-hand turn out on track, it's going to roll the actual chassis clockwise from the front view. When it's doing this, the outside wheel is going to go into compression and the inside wheel is going to go into droop. So if we had no anti-roll bar fitted here, the chassis would roll and lean right over, and this wheel will go into full droop, and this one would go all the way into compression, effectively, depending on how fast you're driving the car. What the anti-roll bar does is it links these two sides together. So it effectively counteracts both movements. So the wheel that's going into compression, the anti-roll bar pulls that back down as a resistive force back into the ground. And on the droop side, it actually pushes that wheel back up into the wheel arch, again, as a resistive force. And it anchors itself off each side of the axle. When it does this, it effectively limits how much that car can actually physically roll over, because it can't technically lean all the way onto the wheels because they're lifting back up in the arch and then drooping back down as well. So when it does that, it's effectively forcing the car to stay flat. And that's why we get a better chassis attitude out of the car. Now, the anti-roll bar also works directly in parallel with the coil springs. This means that when you go through the corner, the spring rate from the actual coil springs is added to the spring rate of the anti-roll bar, which makes the car overall a lot stiffer. This means in a straight line, under really heavy braking conditions and heavy throttle conditions, you effectively get in a situation where the anti-roll bar isn't being used. It's just rotating up and down evenly left and right, having no effect over the anti-roll bar itself. So we can fine-tune our coil rate to get better driving characteristics, but then we can have a much stiffer anti-roll bar, so through the corners we're staying really nice and flat, and we've got a much better chassis stiffness through the corner. So the next thing would be, how do we then determine the understeer or oversteer characteristics, and how do we use these adjustment points to fine-tune how the car handles through a corner? So if we take a look at a car entering a corner, on corner entry, we have a lot of dampers going on, because as we turn the car in, we're actually shifting the car over, and a lot of load is being transferred through the chassis. This is absorbed by the dampers and can be controlled using adjustable dampers effectively. So when we get to corner exit, the same is true. We're exiting the corner and the car's rolling flat again. It's unloading from that rolled over position back to flat, and the velocity is going through the damper. That means, again, the damper is really effective at helping to fine-tune the corner exit behaviour of the car as well. The only point in the corner where the dampers have little to no effect is right here in the mid-corner section, because the car is already rolled over, it's loaded, it's gone through the dampers, it's used them, and it's static. It's leant over and it's stopped moving. At this point, the coil spring rate and the anti-roll bar rate have the biggest effect over that chassis and how it's going to behave. This means apex understeer or oversteer is the biggest focus of how an anti-roll bar can help get the characteristics fine-tuned. So as we go into a corner, understeer is effective as we get to the apex, the nose pushes out and it washes out to the outside of the corner. If we're coming in and getting oversteer, the rear end will rotate and overtake the front through the corner and cause the car to oversteer through, like that. So let's take the understeer scenario into example. So we come into the corner and then at apex, it starts to wash wide and understeer out towards the outside point of the corner. In this scenario, you can do two things. You can soften the front anti-roll bar or stiffen the rear anti-roll bar. This is going to give you that distribution shift so you can effectively change and give more grip back to the front axle. If you're in an oversteer scenario and you're at the mid-corner, so we get to the apex and the car starts to oversteer on us, at that point we can either soften the rear anti-roll bar or stiffen the front anti-roll bar. These two things will both improve that oversteer at the apex. So in terms of adjustment, they're really straightforward. They're the simple rules you need to remember. If you're having understeer at the apex, soften the front bar or stiffen the rear. And if you're having oversteer, then soften the rear bar or stiffen the front. Now, choosing which one to do can be a bit tricky sometimes, but if one is already in full stiff, then do the opposite to the other. Or if they're both in the middle, it's often better to stiffen the one that needs stiffening, because having that a little bit more stiffness into the car isn't a bad thing, especially out on track. And I know we said before that if it's too stiff, it will lead to the whole car washing and understeering or oversteering effectively. But we know that these anti-roll bars, when they're coming out of the factory and they are adjustable, they have a window of adjustment that isn't going to push you outside that range. So you can use the full stiff on the axle you want it on, and then you can go to middle or full soft on the other and have those points of adjustment. So that's the anti-roll bars fitted and set up on the car. So next we're going to get out on track and put these roll bars through their paces and start to fine-tune the chassis and see exactly how they compare to the OEM anti-roll bars. In order to show you the data clearly, we've actually fitted some brand new sensors to this car. We've managed to install some laser sensors at all four corners of the car that scan the ground in real time and will produce a graph of chassis movement. That's going to actually show us with data how much roll this chassis does or doesn't have, which means for the first time ever, we can actually show you with data how much of an effect an anti-roll bar upgrade has on a chassis and exactly how much of a reduction in chassis roll it generates. So we're really excited to get stuck into that in the next episode as we head to track to test these out.